Greetings, Commanders! Well, there's a new plague in the galaxy. I was talking to Tyrant, he's a head of the Archimedes Station department here, and he said that they've been running into this weird issue with low power players server migrating to new servers with tier 12 that they get from events, maybe from bigger, older servers, and then taking over with just a handful of small tier 12 troops. Kind of like Nemesis arcs, but the difference is these baby tyrants have tier 12. And tier 12 is so much more powerful than tier 9. I mean, tier 12 has tear space. They have a lot more base stats. They're just harder to overcome. They're harder to hit. So when you're trying to get them with like tear space or with bullets, ghost cannon, or rocks annihilator ray, they're just harder to hit. So with a very small investment in gear, these baby tyrants are basically building unstoppable little war machine accounts. I've got some replays to show you. Let's start off with this one here. So what you're going to see is you've got a Hancock, which is a very potent baby tyrant because he has that shield, right? So he has the troops in the back helping to have this shield, but he's got tier 12 in the front. So he's a tier 2 account, or maybe a tier 2 account with maybe 1,000,000 power at most. You don't even need the power. It's just a matter of how far did you get before you came into those tier 12s. Sometimes they're people's baby alts or arcs on main servers, farm alts, and they just migrate them to an old or a new server with these old troops or gifted tier 12 troops, even though they don't have the research. They got them as gifts. So they usually only got 6 troops of those specific builds or specific types. But with just 6 tier 12, look what he does. He just takes down an army of tier 7. Now, anyone that plays this game will see this replay and go, well, yeah, I saw that coming. But what you're not realizing is that this account on the right, this Hancock, is not an account that spent 20 or 30,000 dollars to have dominance over this huge tier 7 account. Now, granted, it's the X, and granted, it's tier 7, so not great. But with a little bit of tier suppression and some tier 12 troops, you can roll over anything. And that means tiles like a Nemesis arc, but even capital battles. Nobody, especially against a Hancock, but nobody wants to roll into a tier 12 account that even is only using just 1 or 2 per slot. And when those troops die, like for example, I went and just attacked someone on my server because I don't get exposed to this a lot. I'm sitting on the high peak here. I'm a mid-sized account on a big server, so we really don't see a lot of small players oppressing anyone. But that kind of a march on a new server with just tier 5, tier 6, tier 7 is devastating. They can just move in with just a couple migration tokens and then own the server for months until there's a migration or someone else bigger moves in. But check this out. This is I used Hubert here. But Hubert just rolls into this guy, and he ends up killing some of my troops with the black hole bomb. That's one way to do it, right? Like I said, you can use ghost cannon or annihilator ray to kill some tier 12. But when it's time to heal, it's not a big deal to heal. You can heal your tier 12 whether you have the research or not by just going to your paraloper, right? So 3 tier 12 is 120,000. That's nothing. That's a drop in the bucket. I got 450 million metacrystals, right? And I've just been cashing those in, waiting for the right time to get those unlimited crystals, or when I'm going to do a research switch if they never fix infantry. But I thought I'd show that off because Tyrant showed me that, and it seemed kind of like, well, yeah, that's what happens when people move with a tier 12 account to a small server. But the amount of money and time invested into these 1-2 million power accounts to have that tier 12 troops is so out of balance. So just by bringing this up, I'm sure there's going to be a dozen more of these and probably a couple more showing up on your server, especially if you're not a tier 12 server. But I think the developers kind of want it this way. I don't think they're going to fix it per se because they don't need to fix it. It adds a lot of compelling gameplay for small accounts to go in and compete with bigger players, and there are ways to answer it. There are ways to kill them with black hole bombs and, like I said, the ghost cannon stuff, or just a bigger one-slot bus march. But it adds a big element of PvP and gameplay at kind of a low risk. So I really like the idea of these baby tyrants, but they are going to plague a lot of servers. So I thought that was interesting. It's just something new that I haven't seen. I'm sure people have been dealing with this for 6 months, and I'm going to get flamed in the comments like, duh, Melt, where have you been? Well, I've been on a different server, a very old server, but I thought that was interesting. Is there anything else going on in the galaxy I'm missing like that? I mean, just a minimal march like that with troops you get from events can be just devastating on the balance of power in a small server. Oh, well, there goes the pin. I guess that's the end of the video.